Hey guys, by now we should be finishing up chapter one, and for those that are ready or those that are moving on to chapter two, it's pretty similar to chapter one, just some new things. The only thing we're not dealing with this time is this auto sum up. We're not actually going to be using that. You're going to be doing things a little bit different. It's actually still pretty easy. This chapter starts on page we at 67, but I'm going to have you guys just move it right to where it says EX70. Okay, that is actually, no, actually, I'm sorry. We'll go to EX75, and it'll look just like this page. Okay, EX75. From here, we'll get it set up so that, just like we've been doing with chapter one, the top is going to be called the Mobile Masses Store. The second will be bi-weekly payroll report. Now, on the chapter one, what we dealt with was that A3 was blank. We're actually going to use that. I'm looking right down at figure 2-5, and I'm just putting things in exactly the way they are. It says employees, and then B3 is hire date. C3 is dependents, and you can't read it because it's kind of it's going behind each column. And then it says on 70 or on D5 or D3, it's going to be hours. And here's something new. If you look, it's right underneath the cell below it. It actually isn't. What you would do is after you type the first word, you hit Alt and Enter, and it puts it below it while still being in the same cell. Okay. See, if you look right there, the word hours worked is still all in one cell. Normally, we would just type it like this. All right. And some people will assume to get to look like what's right there, you have to put that, and then you go here and do that. It's actually not the way you do it. Okay. So to do it again, this next one is going to be the same way. Hourly, Alt, Enter, and then you put the word pay rate. Okay. And then gross pay, federal taxes, state tax, net pay, and then tax percentage. Okay. And then that's how this should look. Okay. But what I want to draw your attention to is that where you see where it says enter a formula using the keyboard. This right here, I don't know if you guys can see it. That right there is going to be very important. That we're going to draw back to. Okay. But I'm going to go ahead. We're going to move to. Oh, I'm missing some pages here. Go back to page EX72. So we went ahead and then we're going to go backwards. Okay. So the first employee is going to be the Shabrat Emily Shabrat. Some sweet names in here, guys. I don't think whoever they paid to make these up did a legit job. And they're doing it in last name alphabetical order. Why do you think they're doing that? Well, if there was a couple Thomases or not or whatnot, it would be hard for them to sort it. Most of the time, people have one unique last name unless you have a common last name like Smith, Brown, Johnson, stuff or last names like that. So you do it like this. This is good practice in terms of sorting people's names. Okay, we're probably used to this in sports. It's no different when you get into business. There's a name Zika. That guy wouldn't be too popular right now with the Zika virus. All right, so after I get the names in, I'm going to double click just so I can see the names. And then next thing I'm going to type in is hour day. Here's what I don't want to happen, guys. All you have to type in, guys, is going to be these 4 columns of information or data. What's going to happen is someone's going to go ahead and they're going to do all this. Again, that's doing too much, guys. Don't do that. Do not do that. So I'm going to pause real quick. I'm going to fill in the rest of this, and I'll be right back. So as you can see, when I typed the data in, I typed it exactly like you saw on page EX72, right there in the middle, table -2 or 2-1. Just type in 3/3 2009. Just do that. If it doesn't show up correctly, all you have to do is highlight those, whatever you're typing in, go up here, and make sure you click on the one that says date, short date. Okay? So if it wasn't working for you, that's all you got to do. All right, now if you can see this, it's not giving me all my decimal points. Still not a big deal. We'll come back to this later. It's kind of something to deal with this chapter. We did it last chapter, but we'll come back to it in a second. So all I'm doing is I'm finishing up the typing for this chapter. Oops. Seems to be making some good money. All right. So right here is where I'm going to stop. Now, if we remember back where I went, when we started on page EX75, right there in the middle, it told us what our formulas are going to be. Okay? So it's saying the gross pay, so column F, so right here, number 1, gross pay, column F, equals hours worked times hourly pay rate. So to do that, guys, we can hit, there's a couple ways. We hit equals. This whole time we're going to be hitting equals. You can click the cell and do it. That's one way. Another way is that we hit equals and then we just tell it what column it is. So D4, and then we say times E4. Either way, it's doing the same thing. This depends if you like to use your mouse or you like to type it. I personally like to type it, so when I'm doing it, I like to just know what number it is and just do it that way. That's the way I do it. Some people may want to do it where they use the mouse. Either way, we have to put the equal sign. Either way, we have to click or tell it what cell it's going to be. I type it in, but when you click on it, it does the same thing. It types the numbers in for me. So either way, you're doing the same thing, okay? I just like to type. I don't know why, I just like to. Okay. The next cell, federal taxes, says column G equals 0.22, blah, 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 blah. Okay. So I'm going to move you ahead to page 77. Down here at the bottom, it's going to be kind of confusing. Down here at the bottom, it literally will tell you what cells need to be clicked on. So if you don't like the page I just put you on, that page will also work, okay? So I'm going to go over here to federal taxes. You're going to be typing in 5 numbers, and from there, you just drag the auto formula button, and it'll do everything else for you. So state tax, equal sign, and on the book, it tells me on page EX77, down at the bottom, it says equals 0.04 times the gross pay, or in this case, cell F4. Okay, I'm going to go do the next one. State tax. State tax, which is cell H4, equals gross pay minus federal tax plus state tax. If you're going to type that, it would be equals, where am I at? F4 minus, and then here's the big part. We have to put parentheses because it's going to do it in order of operations. Uh-oh. Oh, I jacked up, guys. Oop, I jacked up. I put the wrong formula in. I sure did. I didn't do the federal one. It says equals 0.22 times parentheses gross pay. And I got to do that minus C4, which is my dependents. Now, all this is doing, guys, is just figuring payroll tax. So for those that will like to move on and be in charge of a company, that's all they're doing right now. Now state tax is that easy one, equals 0.04 times F4. Net pay is the third one down, equals gross pay minus parentheses federal plus state. Uh-oh. And if you just say yes. Tax percentage, last one, equals parentheses G4 plus H4, close my parentheses, divided by F4. Now that needs to be in percent, so I'm going to click on that one. Actually, I'm not going to do that now. So after I get doing that, I'm going to move on to page. So if you didn't like just going to that one page, type those in, pages 77 through 80, kind of show you how to do it, which is I would recommend looking at it if you kind of were confused right there. It's really not that confusing. You just gotta click on the numbers and it tells you what numbers to click on. Page EX81, we're gonna, like I told you, you only have to type these at one time. Click on, highlight them over, and then click that button. Drag her on down. Now I need to add some things down here. Totals, average, highest. I'm gonna put a new word in for you. We're gonna put max, and then lowest. We're gonna put min. Okay. Now, what you notice right here is these. Now we gotta look at this. This is something to deal with money and percentages. Okay. So these two, I know they're dollar, or this one is $1. So I need to make sure they're in currency form. All right. This one I know is in currency form. So later on, I'm going to adjust that because the whole thing doesn't need to be in currency form. So I know those are going to be, these will be currency, or state tax, net pay, and then I need to put percentage right here. There we go. And all I did is increase the decimal points. I hit the arrow key right here, this button, the increase decimal point. Okay? So right there is where I got you to. I got you to page 81. You're going to be on your own from here on out. Please follow the book. Like we did with chapter 1, you're going to be doing in the labs. I haven't decided if we're going to do the cases and places. EX 126 is where the in the lab starts. And like we did with chapter 1, we're going to do them all in the same one. So down here, I'm going to put in the lab 1 EX 126. Add my new tab. In the lab 2 EX 129. And the last one in the lab 3 EX 132. There we go. So again, guys, this one's dealing with we will use AutoSum, but this one is dealing with actually putting in, if you look up here, putting in new formulas. Okay, and this is just simply telling multiply one thing to another thing. Okay. So anyways, that's where we're at. We're in chapter 2. That's what we should be working on this week.